Hey guys, Willie from the Zombie Star, and this week in comics, I'm going to be showing off some books that either released beginning of March or by the end of February. Since we lost that week of releases, we're kind of getting mixed up between last week's comics and this week's comics. Although every comic that I'm talking about is still new, it's still fresh, fresh released, and something that I think is really just standing out with current releases. Also, what I'll be doing is breaking off into a different segment where I'll be talking about books that I'm still following and books that are just still blowing me away or have finished. And then if there's indie books or maybe one-shot issues, I'll talk about those towards the end. But I'm going to try to break these videos up like that. So let's begin. So starting with Boom Studios, early March, we saw the release of BRZRKR #1. Created by Keanu Reeves, Matt Kindt, Ron Garney, and Bill Crabtree. I was skeptical about this, it being that it's attached to such a high-profile and well-known actor like Keanu Reeves. I was a little bit wary about it, but went ahead and took a chance on #1. I'm so happy I did, and I'm following this through to the end. What Keanu Reeves and Matt Kindt have done here is really just made this really excited and really kind of loud in-your-face action story surrounding this one particular character. Can't talk too much about the story because it's so easy to spoil, but seemingly what you're getting here is just, what if John Rambo and John Wick were rolled into one character? But it's not that simple. They really are building on several different characters and really building on the mystery of the main character of the story. Art-wise, they are putting a cinematic film. The artists here, Ron Garney, Bill Crabtree, they really are taking kind of the essence of a high-octane, high-caliber action film and really just condensing it beautifully in the artwork in this book. BRZRKR #1 just recently released. If you're a fan of Keanu Reeves, action movies, or anything like that, this is really for you. This book is a lot of fun. This is your standard cover, but we were able to get all of the variant covers, not the incentive as several were made. But here is another variant cover for issue #1. My favorite has got to be the standard cover A. It really says so much about the character that you're going to be reading about. Two more variants for it. We had our white blank for BRZRKR #1. These are really good for if for any reason I run into Matt Kindt, if I run into Ron Garney or Bill Crabtree, but certainly if I run into Keanu Reeves, he will be signing either the white blank variant, or if I have it on me, the red variant for BRZRKR #1. From Boom Studios, BRZRKR #1, several variants we're able to acquire. This is a lot of fun. Alright, moving on. For Mad Cave Comics, this week we saw the release of Nottingham #1. Just take a look at that cover. Created by David Hazan, Luca Romano, and Joe Gill. If you guys follow the Zombie Star, if you guys follow This Week in Comics, you guys know that I really love it when writers and authors really take historical events or established lore and they just flip it on its head and add their own twist to it. That's what we're getting here, and as the cover suggests, this is a really dark, a really mature take on the story of the classic story of Robin Hood. Proposal is, what if Robin Hood not only stole from the rich and gave to the poor, but he was an absolutely maniacal serial killer? And what if the Sheriff of Nottingham was more a by-the-book, take-no-nonsense veteran cop who is really just on the heels of this madman and is just dead set on either putting him away or putting him down? There's mystery, there's murder, there's conspiracies, it's really good work. I really love what kind of time was taken and the creativity that was needed to really put a story like this together. Art-wise, it is brutal, it is bloody, but also beautiful in how it depicts England during this tumultuous time. Nottingham #1 for Mad Cave Comic Books, a real standout this week. Highly recommend this as a read. From Dark Horse Comic Books, this week we saw the release of Dead Dog's Bite, created and illustrated by Tyler Boss. Suspense, thriller, crime, drama. Narratively, we're told this story through the kind of the eyes of a mysterious narrator. I really feel that this is going to be, not just a thriller, not just a crime story, but really a psychological kind of mind scratcher, kind of mind bender, if you will. The story is focusing on the main character, Josephine, who is really seemingly the only one that really cares about the mysterious disappearance of her best friend in the town of Pendermills, along with her boyfriend. So first issue, right off the bat, you know something is going on in this town, something weird, who's involved, and what's going on. Art-wise, it is very moody. I think it's the only way that I can really describe it. The art really responds to the atmosphere, and I really love how it's working for that character development and for the progress of this kind of slow burn of a story, but you just get that feeling that it's really going to pay off in the end. Dead Dog's Bite, #1, released earlier this week. This has got to be probably the more dramatic and probably the more crime-driven storytelling that I've seen this week so far in comic books. We did receive, this is our main cover. I believe this is the main cover. I'm not really sure, but we were able to receive one of the variant covers for it. And I believe it showcases one of the characters from the story. Dead Dog's Bite, #1 from Dark Horse Comic Books. This is going to be something weird and really out there. I really am enjoying it. All right, so I'm recording this in 2 different parts. This is the last #1 that I'm showing off for this segment of This Week in Comics, and I'm just going to jump right into it because I saved for last. It's my absolute favorite. Demon Days, X-Men #1 by none other than Peach Momoko. If you guys follow the Zombie Star, if you guys follow This Week in Comics, you guys know I'm a huge Peach Momoko fan. About a month ago, I did a Peach Momoko themed mystery box from Big Time Collectibles, and the stuff that I got in there was awesome. I know you guys really enjoyed that. I got a lot of views on it. If you guys haven't seen it, check that out. It's pretty cool, and some unique stuff that I just haven't seen or even can get anywhere else. So when Marvel and Peach Momoko teamed up for Demon Days, I immediately jumped all over it. When I learned that this is her writing debut, which I'm not 100% sure of. If you guys know of anything that Peach Momoko has written before, let me know so I can find it and collect it. But this is her debut with Marvel as a comic book writer, not only as the illustrator for the comic book. Narratively, she's done something amazing. We just finished speaking about Nottingham and how much I love it when artists and writers take folklore or historical events and they just add their own spin to it. Peach Momoko is taking many famous characters of the X-Men, but not just the X-Men. And I don't want to talk about it too much because it's real easy to spoil this as well. But what she's also done is she's meshed it beautifully with ancient Japanese folklore. And that's the premise, okay? The main character is named Sai, and I really feel that she is inspired by the X-Men character of Psylocke. Purple hair, sword, and all. And of course, there's many other characters that I don't want to bring up. Because this is just a super duper recommendation if you're an X-Men fan, if you're a Peach Momoko fan, this is really for you. But really unique what she's doing here, really exciting, so much information about Japanese folklore. This is really a part of their culture, and Peach Momoko really stayed true to the culture and really just did a brilliant job of just blending it with Americanized superheroes and stories and things like that. So this was a lot of fun to read. #1 initially seems like a standalone, but there is going to be other issues. The story kind of ends off with a cliffhanger, so I'll be getting to issue #2 whenever it's released. Let's go over these variant covers that came out because they were several. Check that out. This is not Peach Momoko. There are a lot of artists involved here, and I'm forgetting a lot of their names. But check that out. Again, I feel inspired by the X-Men Psylocke, but this is the character Sai, and she is the focus for issue #1. Check this one out. Absolutely beautiful. This is not Peach Momoko. I'm really not sure who this is, but oh my god, this is just awesome. Another variant. See, this was an awkward one because it's kind of calendar style. At first when I saw it, I thought it was a calendar, but it's not. It's just the I guess wide angle cover. But that is pretty awesome. We have several. We have 2 more here. Yeah, I think we do. Here's a more kind of, I really love this, Demon Days X-Men #1. This is more, seems like a more cartoonish I don't know, Disney take on it. It looks pretty awesome. And where is the standout cover? Here it is. This is the only incentive cover that I was able to snag when I saw it. Had to have it. This is by Campbell. Okay, and check this out. This is a 1 in 50 incentive cover that I was able to acquire in my store. And it just looks absolutely beautiful. So really for number ones, for me, what stood out the most, really stole the show, was Peach Momoko's Demon Days, X-Men, number one. I really do recommend. X-Men fan, Peach Momoko fan, or just superhero fan, this is an amazing story. Or even if you're, if you're into Japanese folklore, ancient Japanese stories and things like that, this is really going to be for you. Alright, let's get into books that I'm still keeping up with. So just to follow up with some issues and some titles that we've been reading, Deep Beyond number 2 was released earlier this month, and we are still reading just this amazing story by Andolfo, Goy, Ricardo, and Nocenzo. Deep Beyond number 1 introduced us to this ultra chaotic, futuristic setting where humanity is really just contained to these safe zones, and the rest of the world has just become this no man's land of toxic water, poisonous air, and even living monsters. Fast-paced narrative, action-packed, heavy on the science fiction. I was immediately drawn to it because I really feel some of the inspirations that were taken from here were stemmed from really some of my favorite sci-fi films like The Abyss and Sphere. And if you've seen those movies, you know that they're not space-related. They're actually films that take place leagues and leagues under the ocean. Similarly, Deep Beyond is about this kind of similar setting. Artistically, it is still just bright, it is vibrant, it is chaotic, and it really serves appropriately given the content that we see here. Still following a group of would-be heroes out to really solve many mysteries that are surrounding Deep Beyond, and of course, save those that they care about the most. So Deep Beyond, number 2. Highly recommend for you science fiction fans, action fans, fantasy fans. This is really for you. That cover of number 2 is really giving me those Rick and Morty vibes, but this is also a heavy drama. So I really feel that that blend just is really working very well narratively here. This was issue number 1 since I have it here, which of course was a Peach Momoko variant. But Deep Beyond number 2, I mean, just as crazy and chaotic as the first issue, and I think it's just going to continue in that way. So. Big recommendation, Deep Beyond from Image Comics. Alright, moving on. So this month we also saw the release and conclusion to Wolverine, Black, White, and Blood. This is issue number 4. Amazing. This is cover A. There are only 2 covers for this one. But here we're getting the conclusion to the compilation series, kind of the celebratory series for the very well-known, beloved character Wolverine. If you're a Wolverine fan, this is an absolute must-read. So again, we're getting just that continued exploration into Wolverine, and he's being depicted by several different artists. This was just beautifully done. Artistically, again, the color scheme is just using black, white, and of course, red. Wolverine is depicted just, of course, appropriately, just as savage as he is, as brutal as he is, as violent as his encounters are with villains. This book really does stay true to the Wolverine as a character, and we really get to see him in these kind of untold stories throughout his life as not just Logan, but as Wolverine and even as an X-Men. Not only that, he comes across these again untold encounters with other very famous and famed characters that have never really been depicted before in any other comic book, but they've been condensed in this compilation series. Absolutely continued beautiful artwork. Of course, just too many artists to name, and amazing stories that just really are fun to read, and just kind of good information and backstory to have on the famed character. Only one spoiler, because it needs to be said, and I will post a clip of it, but it doesn't say much about the story. You still gotta read it. But Wolverine gets into a fight with the Tyrannosaurus Rex. That's it, and kind of that's the last story in it. But again, it is just amazing and not as silly as you think. We do have one incentive cover. This is the 1 in 25, I believe. Yes, the 1 in 25 variant. This is by Muhammad Asar. Number 4, absolutely sad to see that this is the conclusion. A lot of fun to read. If you guys missed out on this and did not get a chance to catch up, I would say contact your store, see if they can maybe order some back orders for you. But Wolverine, Black, White, and Blood, absolute must read for fans. So we're going to end off this week in comics with Batman, Black and White, issue number 3, released earlier this month. Similar to Wolverine, Black, White, and Blood, we're getting a compilation series created by several different authors and illustrated by several different artists. While it may seem that DC and Marvel are doing something similar, I feel the approach and I feel the presentation is very unique. Narratively, again, what we're getting is this celebratory, beautifully rendered exploration into Batman, the character Bruce Wayne, but not only that, the idea of Batman, the concept of Batman, and what it stands for. And should someone else pick up the mantle of Batman, what is that person responsible for in the vision that Bruce Wayne initially had? So very dramatic, very compelling, very deep thought, and just really beautifully put together. Artistically, you have many different artists. Each issue has around 3 or 4 stories, each of them rendered by different artists. And of course, just again, you get this opportunity to really see Batman in so many different lights, since they're drawn by just so many talented artists. Not only that, but villains, and of course, I think the biggest star of Batman as just a whole is of course the city of Gotham itself. And you can just tell through this art that they just appreciate the character, they appreciate the long-running lifespan of this character, but not only that, but just the amount of work and the amount of creativity that went in to create such an in-depth character with such an in-depth setting. This was the only cover that we were able to acquire. I'm not sure if there were any incentive covers or any variant covers, and this is not a conclusion to it. While Wolverine, Black, White, and Blood did end, this will continue, and we're going to continue getting into this. This is awesome. Batman fans, you got to be picking this up. And that'll be it for this week in comics. I'll see you guys next time to see what we're reading then.